point and click adventures that have gone back to basics and just been point and click adventures have had a bit of a resurgence of late, and I am loving this turn of events. It seemed like point and click adventures had a bit of a crisis in around 2010, but the indie scene, as always, have come to the rescue and managed to fill the void of point and click adventures wanting to be all things to everything, when actually all I wanted was a point and click adventure. A great story, some great characters, some decent puzzles, and perhaps some great artwork goes such a long way in a point and click adventure to make something memorable and worthwhile playing. Edgar, Bokbok in Boulzac tries to be just that, the indie that could, to a degree, and it does that by describing itself as a colourful, surreal and utterly bonkers point and click adventure. So, all the things that I love, sign me up. Edgar is at its best when you're playing and talking with the different characters in the game. You play as Edgar, who has had his squash patch ruined by some kind of chemical rain or something, and what he has to do is then travel to Boulzac to work out what's causing the problem with his squash patch, get some new squash, and get back and get replanting again, otherwise he doesn't have food to last through the winters. With that, along with him, comes Bokbok the chicken, your little sidekick friend who will bok at all of the right moments and get kidnapped and taken away and put into all kinds of peril throughout your adventure. The dialogue has got some good quips to it, and I really like its off-the-wall, offbeat delivery. Everyone's a little bit nuts in Boulzac, but they're nuts and eccentric on purpose. Just as Edgar is himself. He's left Boulzac to go and live on himself on an island, and it clearly shows because he's got no friends apart from his chicken. This all works really nicely, and the art style is fine, and you can walk backwards and forth and have some really good interactions. Nice good music as well in the background. Where Edgar Bokbok in Boulzac slightly falls down for me is in two specific areas. Firstly, when you're solving puzzles, the inventory manages itself. So you'll pick up all of these different tools and ideas, but you don't need to select them and then bring them to a certain task to have something done. So long as you're able to highlight where you're going, the inventory works automatically for you and does some of the actual critical thinking for solving a puzzle for you too. Whilst that makes Edgar accessible and you can enjoy it from a story perspective much more, it takes away the element of decision making, thought, puzzle solving completely out of the agenda, because so long as you can highlight all of the different things that are in each map, you could potentially go around this game without ever needing to solve a puzzle whatsoever and just clicking on everything, because eventually you'll hit on the something that your inventory lines up with that will then progress the story and evolve the game. This also applies to story conversations as well. Sometimes you'll just be roaming from place to place and you just need to speak with everyone and then hit someone in a certain order for that to then trigger the next beat in the story. And it just feels a little bit clunky in the way how Edgar showcases that as a puzzle / story continuation theme that goes on throughout the game. The other issue that I have with Edgar, although it is blatantly stated on the Steam page, is that Edgar is quite short. I completed the game in about 4 hours. It says on the page, on average, it's between 2 and 5 hours to finish the game. Clearly, I'm not the quickest gamer out there. And I'd struggle to see how people could do it in 2 hours unless you was following a guide, to be fair. But it is short, and so you don't get enough time to really gel and connect with all of the different characters out there. And because a lot of them you don't ever know by name, you're just knowing by portrait, apart from a few very key main characters. Again, everything feels a little bit like it's on autoplay and surface level deep. That's really all that I have to say about Edgar that is negative. Does the positive of the story and the interactions and the dialogue outweigh that negative? In my opinion, yes it does. But what it didn't mean was that I would have recommended this as a pure buy. However, Edgar, very recently this year, has halved its price permanently. So it's gone down from being a £11.99 game to being £5.79. And so at that price, yes, I would recommend this game. Just know that when you're going in, that you're coming here for story over puzzles, because the puzzles largely solve themselves without you sometimes even knowing it. A written review will be over on higherplayinggames.com shortly. Until then, Bokbok! Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.